Welcome back to Spank Ranch Garage. I'm just doing a filter change on my waste oil filtering system here, and I figured I would take you guys along for the ride in case you are interested in doing redneck things this winter to keep your shop warm. Last winter, I posted a video about how I converted this crappy old oil furnace into a waste oil burner, very makeshift waste oil burner. This will be year 4 we're coming into, so the Redneck system is really coming together here. It gets better every year. So anyway, let me wrap up this filter change and I'll go over how all this works and what I do. All right, so tucked over here in the corner of my shop is the waste oil filtration station, and it is composed of 2 standard 10-inch household water filters. And in the primary filter here, we put a 25 micron water filter. On the secondary, we put a 5 micron filter. All right, so this is what they look like. You can actually get the 25s at Walmart very reasonably. The 5 microns are a little more expensive. I think it's like $21 for a pack of 2 at Home Depot or Lowe's last time I bought them, but inflation has happened since, so it might be 50 bucks now. But either way, you can get them online much cheaper. I just haven't gone that route yet. So the way this works is we force waste oil through the 25 micron, through the 5 micron, through the wall, and out to an oil tank on the outside of the shop. And what I have here is an old propane tank that actually collects the oil and acts as my first low spot. So anything heavy in the oil and potentially moisture will collect in this tank and will be drainable here. So every 50 gallons or so of waste oil, I will actually drain this and see what kind of crap we get. So let's do that now. All right, that's actually not so bad. So there was a little bit of moisture in there, but then there was also like fluids that settle out of waste oil, and it's interesting if you've never done it before, how many things settle out of waste oil. Like, you'll get this stuff that's like clear, doesn't really smell like gasoline or diesel, yet it does burn, and then you'll have some water and you'll have some antifreeze. You'll have real thick stuff like gear lube, brake fluid, oil. I mean, it's just, you never know what you're getting, and that's what you get with collecting waste oil. So anyway, it's good to have a couple low point drains to catch any water is really what we're looking for. So that's pretty good. Outside, there is a low point drain as well. Now, being that I just changed these filters, here's what they look like when they come out. You could tell they get pretty gooped up, but they do hold up. This was a full like yarn wool type one. The ones I just put in are more of the porous type. They work too. And then here's the primary filter, and this is really what clogs them. See all this thick crap that gets in here? It's just very thick. It's almost like grease. And this filter does the majority of your work, just getting all this crap out of here. All right, so all the big grit gets caught in this. You can see these things are packed pretty full of just crap. This filter did its job. Now, how often do I change filters? These filters have 150 gallons of oil through them. So that's not bad. I'm actually almost done my collection for the year, getting ready for summer. But yeah, these don't look bad. Pumping it straight out of the drums at 150 gallons. Here's what they look like. So I do have a pressure gauge on the tank here that I keep an eye on. I've actually seen this up at about 100 PSI, and that's when I'd say, you know what, it's time. We got to pull the filters, put new ones in. So typically though, in the summertime, you'll be running at about 20 pounds of differential across the filters, which is really good for filtering a viscous fluid that's full of junk down to 5 microns. So anyway, the heart of the system here really is this pump. This is an old gear pump with a 110 AC motor on it. Very simple, just old USA made pump. It's probably 60 years old, but it does a very, very good job. It's got nylon tube with compression fittings up to here, and then I've got another one down into a drum of waste oil that's a dip tube. So it just pulls it out of here, pushes it through the system and back. So I'm gonna unlock my isolation valves here because I just changed those filters, and all of this is just standard cheesy plumbing hardware. There's nothing fancy here. I did create these low point drains here. That way when you're going to change a filter head or when you're going to change a filter membrane, you can open these, drain it use these to isolate, and then you don't have a huge mess everywhere. So we'll flip this on. You'll see the oil come up here and head that way. There it goes. It's already primed up. And then we are filling our primary filter now. And when that's full, you'll see it spill over to the 5 micron. There we go. And here we are entering our 5 micron filter. All right, so the filters are primed. And with brand new filters, I mean, we're hardly cracking off 0. So they're just flowing great. Everything's good. This is dribbling out into an outside tank. And this drum has probably 20 gallons left in it. I already pumped 2 drums plus a bunch of other through here. Just getting ready for winter. The oil, for me, the oil is extremely easy to get. I have so many friends in the automotive and equipment repair industry that I have too much oil. I can't even take what they give me. I can burn about 200 gallons in a season if I'm out here a lot and it's cold, maybe a little more. So I just get like 3 or 4 drums plus all the oil that I make, and it's more oil than I could possibly use. But you may be asking, why am I filtering this down to 5 microns? Well, the reason for that is because we're running this through a standard household heater that it's not made to run on dirty oil. It's made to run on something very clean. So check that video. I will put a link to that if you are interested in doing a real ghetto waste oil setup like this. It looks ridiculous. You can make a mess really easily doing this, but damn, it works good. I'm out here in this uninsulated shop, 900 square feet, 18 foot to the top of the ceiling there, 12 foot there. It doesn't run on a thermostat. It just runs wide open, and I literally crack windows to modulate the temperature because once you get this hot and running, you don't want to shut it off. There's a whole process to that explained in the other video. But yeah, the waste oil, pretty simple. I don't run this unattended, obviously. I'll just put it on in the background when I'm out here. You know, if I'm doing oil, it's usually like the late summer, early fall, kind of like it is now. I'll just be out here working on something. I'll drop a drum in position, fire the pump up, and I'll just keep an eye on it. I've been doing it for a while, so I start to hear the different sounds that this pump makes when it's straining, and then I come over here and check the gauge. You can see we've got 1 or 2 pounds of pressure across the filters. That's nothing. So these filters do last a pretty long time. Standard filter wrench to get the housings off. All of this crap comes straight from a hardware store. None of this is specific to waste oil. It's not recommended to be used with waste oil. This is probably illegal to even do this, but you got to do what you got to do. Heating oil is very expensive, and this is very free, so it's not bad. The propane tank is actually left over from the first iteration of this. I didn't always have a pump that could do this. You actually really need a gear pump because a centrifugal pump is not going to create the pressure you need to get this across the filter. So what I used to do, I actually had a regulated air supply here at like 60 psi. And before I started collecting oil from the public, I would just open this valve with this funnel and I would dump my oil from my oil changes in there, close the valve, turn the air on, and walk away. And the air would just push it through the filters at its own leisure. Depending on how clogged the filters were, it would take anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes or whatever, but I didn't care. And then when that was empty, I'd come shut the air off. I'd pour more oil in if I have more and do it that way. I probably did 50 gallons that way, but it just takes time. I can still do that if I have to, but it just takes too much time. So now I ask people to bring this to me in full 55-gallon drums or whatever they have. If they just have 5-quart containers or 5-gallon buckets, I will just consolidate all of that to a drum before I even roll it in the shop, and then just let this thing run, do its thing. And back here we have my oil tank. This is nothing special at all. It's just a standard 275-gallon household oil tank. I painted it. I built these skids on it here out of roll cage tubing so I can actually pull this and drag it if I need to move it while it's still got oil in it. You know, you take a look at the gauge here. We're 3/4 full and I got a whole 55-gallon drum to go, so I'll probably have surplus oil this year as well. But yeah, just real standard. You could fill it from out here with heating oil if you wanted to. It's vented properly. It's got its own gauge, and then that's coming out of the shop there, and that's our clean oil trickling in. So anyway, that's the setup. Just wanted to share it with you guys. Do what you want with this information. It's probably not the right thing to do. Never leave your chuck key in the chuck. It's probably not the right thing to do. I know it's not the right thing to do, and I know none of these materials are correct for the material we're using, but you gotta see what you can get away with in life, because you read about it, they're gonna say, nah, you can't do this. But the reality is, this is my 4th year of doing this. These filter housings haven't degraded yet. The piping hasn't degraded yet. I have no problems with the valves. The pump's holding up, tubing's holding up, everything's working as it should. It may not be forever. I could have a big spill here and a catastrophe on my hands, but you just got to risk it for the biscuit sometimes. So anyway, let me know what you think about this. If you've got your own ways of filtering waste oil, let me know. If you centrifuge it, if you push it through, you know, filter membranes, if you have other ways of cleaning up waste oil, I'd love to hear them. Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching Spank Ranch Garage. I'll see you soon.